Chapter 18, Balancing Life, Real or Myth? The journey is finding balance. The myth is perfect balance. By Lori Ann Hardy. How do we devote the proper time to each of the important areas I have described in this book? How does one develop healthy relationships with God, family, and friends? How do we find time for all the things that nourish our lives and our minds? Eating well, caring for our bodies, investing for our financial security, giving generously of money and time, feeding our minds and spirits, earning our daily bread, volunteering for worthy causes, and mentoring others for enriching lives. Finding balance is very difficult for single parents, especially, rightly or wrongly, being a single parent implies something is missing, inherent imbalance. You are doing family on your own. There are so many areas of life, and balancing them all takes a lot of effort, perhaps effort and time we feel we just don't have. When I look back on my life as a single parent and consider all the areas of my life, I get the feeling of imbalance. I spent the bulk of my time with my kids and at work to support us. Survival left just about no time for friends or self-care. It seems we barely got by. There was always something new that came along and required money. School clothes, classroom supplies, school fees, sports equipment, social activities, honor banquets, and the list goes on. My life wasn't what anyone would deem balanced. The balanced life I longed for felt like a luxury that could never be obtained. I dreamed of having time with friends, and I wanted to be able to do some fun things, if only to get my mind off the daily struggles. I found free things to do, but I really missed going with my friends to movie, out to dinner, or just hanging out. I had to be home when I wasn't working, giving rides, making meals, helping with homework, waiting to pick up or drop off one child or the other. It seemed like I was trapped. I couldn't work any harder to make more money because then I would have no time with my kids. I wasn't eating healthy because the inexpensive food we ate was often high in fat, sugar, and calories. I would love to be able to tell you that I found a way to balance it all, something that you could bank on, and that would inspire you to find yourself in the same situation. Sadly, that's just not the case. I didn't have much time for me, and thus balance was an elusive dream. I felt like Eric Brand, that guy who had the plate spinning act on the old television variety shows. My spinning plates were the kids, my job, friendships, and education. I ran from area to area and would spin plates on top of spindles. After the last plate was set spinning nicely, the first plate began to wobble, and I would have to set it in motion once again. Truth be told, my plates always wobbled. It wasn't pretty. But there was just enough balance to keep me in the game of life. Then there were the earthbound plates that neither spun or wobbled. The things in my life that felt so overwhelming to deal with. I had cars, plural, in my yard that were not running. Should I have had them hauled away or hoped they could be fixed? Every time I left the house or drove up after work, there it was. Lori's Salvage, sheet metal stressors. What was I to do? Finally, I called the recycle center and I asked them to come and take them away. It was really hard for me to let go of one of those vehicles. It was the huge old gas-hogging Chevy Suburban. With so many cherished family memories attached to it, I couldn't afford to fix it or feed it, so when the man from the recycling center came to take it away, I was sad. I may have cried. But once it was gone, so was the daily anxiety of seeing it in the yard. Only when it was gone did I realize what an emotional drain an object could be. Single parents are often attached to memories, and there is a grief of letting go of something that is a reminder of good memories. It's hard to admit that an old standby is now causing stress rather than creating good thoughts. Maybe you need the help of someone to give perspective and understanding as you part with treasured items. I couldn't have parted with these albatrosses without the help of my friends. They would often help me take the difficult step to create space for myself. These items were a reflection of the emotional clutter going on within me. I had to break it down to the simplest terms. Dealing with what was taking up space freed me to no longer carry the emotional baggage that went along with it. I needed to claim space so my family and I could have some peace. What are you putting up with that's draining your time and energy? Could it be unfinished projects hanging over your head? Broken everyday things in your home? A broken down car? Outmoded furniture or appliances that are taking up too much space? Overdue paperwork? Make your list and prioritize by the easiest to the hardest. What can you do to get the stress off your list? Keep it and use it? Get rid of it? Give it away. What is one step you can do today toward making space for you? Once the albatross is gone, the project is completed, how do you feel? Celebrate the fact that you finished it, even if it was just making a necessary phone call. Whoop it up a little. Now that you have eliminated one small thing, how good is it going to feel to take care of the next small thing? Eventually, you will make it to the big things. I had a hard time giving up unfinished projects. There were projects I knew I wouldn't find the time to finish, and I had to give myself permission to pass them on, throw them away, or give them to the thrift store. What permission can you grant yourself? Sometimes misinformation feeds our dread in dealing with things. For example, I thought I would have to pay to get rid of the cars, so I put it off. I took one step, made one call, and found out that paying wasn't the issue. Guilt set in for a few moments because I felt like I should sell them and get some money. But on further reflection, I realized I didn't have the time to deal with that. So I gave myself permission to just let them go. Now that the stress was gone, I was able to focus on more important things. Oh, to have some balance. In the midst of raising kids, family meant everything. It took most of my time and energy. It was what I worked hard at and what mattered the most to me. Now, as an empty nester, family still matters to me, but my grown kids are busy now. They don't have me to cook, drive, or arrange things for them. I'm not helping them with homework projects, and I'm not going to after-school dances or football games. Now my life has a different balance, so to speak. With family, work now takes more of my time and energy. Perfect balance isn't the answer, but some sort of balance at each phase of our lives is helpful. It's so easy to get caught up in what we think is important and urgent, but which often isn't. We forget to have some fun, take some rest, or do something frivolous. We forget the things that make the memories that sustain us through the inevitable storms ahead. In the midst of the struggle to survive with a plate-spinning life, our perception of balance must take a back seat to what we truly need for our soul's nourishment. Make time to savor the small moments. Take a mini vacation, escape to an inspiring place, observe your giggling children at the zoo, and breathe in the wonder of everyday life. You will find perspective. You will also discover that taking a break doesn't do much to even out the scales of your life, but it sure seems to keep the heavy stuff from breaking us. Just wondering. What are you tolerating? What excuses keep you from making changes in what you're tolerating? What would your life be like if just one of the things you're tolerating was gone? How would that feel? What will it take to move in the direction of dealing with just one of the issues? What is one small baby step you can take? Just one thing on the list, just one step towards eliminating it from your stressors. I dare you to eliminate one thing, then celebrate. It will no longer suck the life out of you. Now, just one more.